Hello, dear CNN. They had your sources interbranch are victims, good people, where it is recorded originally and still, where good people are opinions and convictions in relationship to the integrity of people individually grouped together good, where everyone's forced to speak about other people. So uses of the words / values like behavior are manifest with all kinds of identities of criminally foreign influence uses of them, and criminally foreign influence readings of statutes and of precedents that are manifest, where and how they back the identity of every branch of government, of every identity, the ground location, of every individual grouped in together into a sustained breaching method that was / is using the human fact treatment nature. It is complete possession over the fact treatment nature, then defenses of it, premises treatment nature of the both political parties. They share distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. Excuses real, but also juxtaposed with those that remain utilized by this method that hurts every modern nation from some ancient times since before modern religions. And the practicality of that and the countless demonstrations of that being true, always, not denying exceptions as exceptions. In other words, the exceptions that appear to and individually grouped together purport other. It is also a demonstration of, for example, where they had, that's also evidence. This is where simultaneously integrity is pretended, where there is none. So, President / candidate Trump is a victim, needing to react to where and how quality of fact treatment nature that uses finite. Correlation uses what is finite, what is true to and as the value of the order of the finite. Where and how subjects, this doesn't leave part subjects. All exceptions in exception nature are in demonstration of it. So so we have remote uses of all identities of the laws, all identity of the ground locations as victims, but as victim predators. So when people ask to report finite little sequence shifts, little predicate acts roles, forging, switching names, falsified police reports, that the police have roles with locations used criminally foreign influenced. This knew that everyone would have to blame the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures on other things others themselves, wrongly, and then defend that. And it took manifest. It also knew and was propagating manifest uses of tactically criminally foreign influence premises treatment, sequence treatments, finite, active, progressive, fact treatments, truth treatments, positive treatments, and identity treatments. So they made everyone value to all locations, means, encouragements, incentives, force, trick, hurt, persuaded, to roles with that engineered, to and as part of the answer / S, why, and how, since before cars. The pathology of homes in suburbs, let alone. They were forced to be, and means to take care of them and stuff like that. They were forced into this method / S that modern streets just fit right around, connecting the towns in the different houses they had in plots. Not just for the reasons known by them. This hurt everyone sickly distinctly. To keep everyone sickly not distinctly, how not fathoming that which was his complete possession of the human sophistication, fact, treatment, nature, quality. The perfect world, for example, is a phrase involved with where and how it is recorded that each branch of government individually grouped and together, all identity grounds, stewards especially database relationships, and further intersciences. Good people are kept victim reactions to what was, is, and exploiting. All that too when they say the perfect world. This is a method you have to counter because it's each age of fact-cheaping nature, each location. The locations next to it. And this is through time connected. And they make that self-valued by that already having been. The families of all modern nations. So well, this isn't where and how the nature of people have no civility, and the government has no civility, and all private tied to them like the news. You guys have no civility. I asked 50 times, 50,000 times, for you guys to give me a response. Because they've been using dozens of people from Hartford courts and from the Britain Superior Court recorded and involved with locations. Predicate acts with locations, roles. And then and also simultaneously they were in on off in campuses in cases with depositions involved with their methods that are fact-cheaping nature oriented as victims, but as victim predators. Then they defend that. Everyone values means no, and needs for themselves to hide the same sequence shifts, finite, active, progressive lives, roles with uses of that, leading up to and in the World Trade Center attack. It's tied to a syntax-oriented Washington, D.C., World Trade Center, tied to intercampuses and intra-campuses. Now people are pretending others make conspiracy theories. This is how nations individually grouped and together, they already got over on their own there, and ours already got over on us here. Good people did evil things, and because of a breaching method. So this divided everyone from everyone, and sickly distinctly. And we're in those divisions. It was cultivating. So we are a values progression. We are an identity of engineering. That is why and how we are individual grouped and together. And the ancients revealed that this is about invisible, but still discernible. See, but we have only been allowed to have been heard. Complete possession of the 1/3/5 identities of theater. And so we have all the words valued, proper reception of them worse than obfuscated, and time treatments. So we have capacity to make enough plants and things like that to observe. They make subjects parted, and they don't allow uses of evidences where you use what is true always as its own identity as exceptions. You use this identity, you use the identity of values / very progression that inventions work or not in relationship to it. They are further positive or not in relationship to it, which is its simultaneous relationship to 5 identities of sequence / simultaneous nature simultaneously. And that is simultaneously how there are 3 identities of sequence nature, simultaneous nature. Because one identity will not stay apart from itself, but one way simultaneously. And so little Grappikian friends, the Native American chief, he's going to teach them about how to see the invisible but still discernible. In other words, there's the one with him speaking about Allah, heartbeat of Allah. The Native American chief, they're going to be in different time periods, and we're going to take counter positions. In other words, Allah is discernible. It was used to teach about, there are proofs. I mean, correlation reveals, it was used to teach about the three identities of longing as the Trinity per science. For example, an A through L, and L through W or X, and or XYZ. X stands for extinction, and E is coming through the letters, energy, and demonstrate, which is one aspect of invisible but still discernible. Completely discernible but one way. In other words, there are distinct identities of invisible but still discernible, as the subject is, and as the verb is, and or the predicate, as the subject and the predicate are. Relationships to identities, identity of volume, /S, where and how one identity of volume is coming to, from, as, with, and for itself, where and how one identity of forever nature is self-generating, where and how this is not only most practical. Those debating would want to debate it, recorded have to value the overtly, tactically, criminally foreign influence premises treatments, value treatments, in relationship to such increasingly positive proofs of a breaching method having been applied to America's locations before America's founders were even born. It was already having been applied to the identities of the surface nations that were already, like all modern nations, all locations, areas, and states are tactically, criminally foreign influenced per a method that knew that they would have to counter the negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, like wrongdoers, mass wrongdoing styles, predicate acts, roles. I'm not a lawyer, not a police form, not a criminal, not a doctor. They had doctors with physical delusions originally and still too. Roles with fabricating audio and video into databases to hide life progressions. Also where and how they have roles with the branches of government individually grouped and together, recorded how being and having been used remotely, leading up to the World Trade Center attack and since, for example, as victims but as victim predators. Through all that is syntax related, fact treatment nature oriented, with Washington, D.C., tied to the World Trade Center, and then again to intercampuses of each age and nature, with connections, where and how there is a vertical and horizontal databases oriented, simultaneously overt criminal enterprises oriented, because they were functional to the method /S that is the breaching method, the human fact treatment nature method that propagated premises treatments. And people uses of, for example, styles shared where people have arrays of fake opinions, but they share uses of behavior to hide sequence shifts, to hide where they prevent people free speech outside of courts and just continue to make allegations against people outside of courts because of the involvements of courts and of police forms in their defendant capacities. And where they're pretending they're not in the defendant capacities, they were recorded involved with locations crimes and with ones in their cases leading up to and in the World Trade Center attack, Connecticut, intercampuses too. And see, this is where everyone speaks to others and stuff like, but them as knaves. A, therefore B. And they leave out all exceptions to the exception nature. And they leave out how, not by accident, how it is recorded tied. Intercampuses of each age and nature. Small world, big world. intercities, they're stacking sequence shifts and then making them self-valued into databases. They're putting people in fake locations. They're keeping all identities of sophistication and of needed, we need to thank God we have police, or we wouldn't exist. And every hundreds of nations have what makes all locations, areas, state hurt to stay. Everyone in collusion, overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and the interbranch kept needing to hide with people they aren't even connected to. The same sequence shifts, finite, active, progressive lives with them. Uses of their identities, uses of other people's identities, names. We have fabricating audio and video into databases only capable of being identities of law as every modern nation. They are incapable of affording the protraction of correlation nature short words. For example, in relationship to the sequence shifts, in the wire crime acts and methods and confessions in relationship to child abuses with campuses in Wethersfield. And they're making allegations against me and fabricating audio and video. They've been replacing what is actually recorded on Facebook and what is actually recorded on YouTube. They've been doing all kinds of crazy things too to complicate syntax, to make everyone aware of how they exploit people who answer phones or something like that in desks, and including at the news media. They're in collusion with people just because they have badges, just because they are judges. Those same courts, how they are kept overtly criminally foreign influenced is only semi. How the overt criminal enterprises are kept overt criminally foreign influenced is only semi, and they complete. They're kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts with overtly sick people like child offenders as leaders of the kids. It's not political. I mean, it's worse than political. These are people leading up to the World Trade Center attack and since. People I don't know from my town who they take picture when they walk by, because they do this game. They do this method, /S rolls. Federal criminals before they got caught with their kids. Further and recorded, confessed, demonstrated many ways. They do this thing with a time where someone's going to walk. He's going to walk through this door at this time into the cafeteria. It doesn't not usually doing that. After having a conversation about things that weren't even real, or whatever, and then someone made confessions and demonstration about people that rolls through time with people with the colleges and universities intercities, involved with the child campuses intercities, and with houses next to them, involved with predicate acts against everyone, and rolls with it forced. And that is forced simultaneously uses of positive and negative treatments as knaves. KNAVE. As distinctly, sickly distinctly, so specifically not just to be knaves, to defend premises treatments, to defend subjects treatments. We have subjects treatments only allowed to be if they're going to be pretended out of sequence, and separating subjects. We have predicate value / value progression that can't be defended, and the people that are pretending that our voice is voting. I'm for President Trump. And before that, I was for President Obama. And if President Biden wins, I'll be for him. But his military, under the Obama administration, since before that, they are recorded to correlation a whole bunch of ways, involved with predicate acts, identity thefts and frauds, through time connected. These aren't people legitimately vetting and things like that. And where that is not true, or whatever they're doing, whatever they're all, because they have the private associated with the interbranch. They have doctors who also have badges, involved with former director of the FBI in his defendant capacities in a 2006 case, and right before that, also involved with people from Wethersfield, involved at that time with on-off Fox Connecticut News, used remotely. Same people involved on-off, that's in Hartford, Connecticut, right before the north end of Hartford, where they have shootings of people through time, because they have recorded self-valued roles with bonded natures of organized crime and worse than war crimes, overt, right upon those locations, intercampuses of each age and nature. But that is exploited from off campuses, where everyone already has roles with that, and then right back to all identity of the ground locations. Further and further collusion with that which was being and having been sophistication here since before our founding parents were born. You can't understand America if you don't understand where and how slavery had been distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously entrenched in North and South America and in Wethersfield, Connecticut, right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. If you don't understand where and how and why George Washington had to secure the help of the French general, and for what? Not for the right to vote, for the right to have the surface values of the Constitution spoken through the hands that were /are the breaching fronts, tools, weapons, and worse of and as the suits and ties modern nations encounters to them. Recorded because they blamed on other things other than themselves. How the sciences were already tactically, criminally foreign influenced. Already humanity was individually grouped and together bound now, tactical ulterior, from how we are by that inseparable from our syntax nature. So, please follow mandated law. It should not be hard for you to understand. They're lying about, what's actually having been recorded on Facebook, because of the uses of the Facebook pages of Connecticut interbranch locations as their roles with uses of a method /S that is vertical and horizontal databases, relationships oriented simultaneously, specifically to keep subjects self-valued by arrays of people parted in the furtherance of that, preventing the finite, active, and progressive from demonstrating the simple recorded predicate acts delivery system method /roles. Slash are all these real motivations, nature's needs, interests for fake positive and for overt negative / insidious negative, and like pretending it's positive politics. So, we have to address how Washington D.C. has roles with syntax relationships, sentencing relationships, identity relationships that are still in collusion with that which is from grammar schools. Even how it uses the locations next to them, so they can have victim predators, where individuals need to speak through that. We don't know each other. They invest people, strangers, in the same age group to make confessions simultaneously. And God knows what they pretend in databases too. pretend people had try to contact people that they never tried to contact. They switch names, forge names, and then all the time they have people like using words like behavior, because now they have to lie about passions and emotions. So it is clear as day for someone who's black not to call people who's, they put that distinction in there so we wouldn't be able to have our human individual group ages, areas, sexes, and grouped as invisible but still discernible. Species, identity of volume, as what is not just as what is in control of what is not. What causes evolution's fruits and gifts means from nowhere. Or what forces that from here, leaps of hadiths. This is about nature. If you have a conversation about the environment first, you're defending sequence treatments. You're defending, then you have to defend positive and negative treatments, identity treatments that value the perfect world being having been forsaken to pretend integrity. This is a child abuse method that each branch of government individually grouped in together was built as an identity as. Know how all the cells of your body, each one individually too, individually grouped in cell nucleus, cell body, cell wall, they share an identity too though. So know how one identity has a relationship to three distinctly grounded, and or 1/3/5 distinctly grounded identities of sequence/simultaneous nature. This is how we are a value/value progression, where and how there is a body of value that is 5 identities of volume that only increase simultaneously as its own, and they will not mix. So one identity of volume is more finite than 3 identities of zero. In demonstration of this, the inherent. And 3 identities of zero are active in relationship while 3 identities of one are. And this is where and how we are all one value/value progression and or value/value nature. And this is where and how nature is relevant because of criminal insidiousness as value as nature/nature as value. This is how the ancients demonstrably would teach, using the identity the sciences share is more than just while being the identity of relativity. See, they put words like theory, and then they keep this incivility pretending it's civil. Then they pretend people like say someone says, no, there's a identity of relativity. The ancients revealed it. Oh, where do you read this? People have it incivil. And let's just agree to disagree. But no one is ever working with the premises. And or they're making overall, they're with the finite premises. They're preventing people from using finite on a mass scale across every 100 nation A through Z, because they're preventing the short words of correlation from protracting, and they are native pure. Sure.